Facebook, and Twitter. So it's gonna go out to the Real Fans Real Talk fan page. Is gonna go live from there, live from the YouTube channel, and then live from Twitter.
All right. Bet. Whenever you're ready, bro, kick it off.
All right, bet. Let me just pull up the rundown here. Hit record on the board. All right, bet. What's going on? We are officially back live, Real Fans Real Talk, getting ready for this Sunday morning preview. Man, we got a lot of NFL action going down today on this Sunday. I'm actually excited though because we are officially back live. Myself, Trip Young, and of course my brother, legend in two games, Eric Sanchez. I'm excited, man. We haven't been live for Real Fans Real Talk in a long time, pretty much since COVID. But now we are officially back. Legend in two games. What's up, man? How's everything going?
What's really good, man? I'm ready to rock and roll, man. We've been trying to figure out how to go live for the people. We've been testing some new things out, but I think you guys are going to really enjoy what we're doing now. And this allows us to be live whenever we want, whenever anyone wants to join the conversation. And we're ready to just continue to kill things like we always do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's just jump right into it, man. It's a lot of NFL action, going down today. This is the big game day. A couple of big quarterbacks will be returning today. Both Tua and Dak Prescott are returning from injury. The Dolphins have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Cowboys have the Detroit Lions. So both winnable games for two of the better teams in the NFL right now. Whose return is more important for the team's success, Tua or Dak Prescott?
I think it's got to be Tua, right? The Dolphins lost 3 in a row without Tua. They obviously got such a hot start, and now they've come back to the pack with those 3 losses. With Dallas, though, Dak makes them a Super Bowl contender. Cooper Rush kept them afloat. He won 4 games for them. He kept them in the mix for the division. Obviously, a playoff team. So Miami, this is a game that's so important for them because they're in the soft spot of their schedule, and they got to get fat right now. We see the Bills are running away with the division. The Patriots are starting to look like the Patriots again, and the Jets are shocking everyone right now at 4-2. So if you're the Dolphins, you don't want to fall any further in those standings and possibly fall out of playoff contention.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. It's tough on both sides of that because, again, even though the Cowboys did take a loss last week to the Eagles, but with the way the Giants have been playing this season, the NFC East is looking like the NFC East of old when it was one of the most competitive divisions in football. So they really going to need Dak Prescott. Anytime you're paying the quarterback $40 million a year, you need him to be on the field playing like a $40 million a year quarterback. But then on the other side of that, with Miami, I'm a little bit more concerned about Tua's return just because of how he went out. And I'm just a little nervous for him, just taking those kind of hits. I would hope that after seeing what we've seen this past year, this past couple of weeks, from Tua, that the Dolphins will do a better job at protecting their star young quarterback. But I'm just still worried. I know he said he's good to come back, but he also said he doesn't remember anything that happened after he took that last hit, which is very concerning for me, especially, when you talk about how big CTE is with both, players in their later years and then players after their retirement. I'm just a little bit concerned for Tua, so I really hope they do a good job at protecting him now that he's back. Protecting him from himself too, because a lot of times, we know players will go back in the game if they feel like they're fine, and you know how it goes, Eric. When that adrenaline is rushing through your body, it's game time. You get that boost, and you might not feel that you need to be sitting out for the rest of this game or maybe a couple of games. You just that mindset is, well, there's a guy right behind me on the roster who's coming for my spot. If I can play, I need to be out there on that field playing, especially for these young guys. So I really hope that Miami does a good job protecting their young quarterback. Who do you take in both of those games this week? You think we get a clean sweep in both of those QB returns?
Yeah, I mean, Dallas, I had the remember when we did the live on Friday, I have them as one of my 401k picks of the week for this week. So I like Dallas a lot. It's an elite defense. They're third overall in points allowed. We know what the offense has been doing. I hope they maintain that same balance because I think they unlocked a little something with Tony Pollard, and I hope they continue to feed him a little bit so that they can get over the top with CeeDee Lamb. But I like Dallas and I like Miami. Again, both these situations, these are games that they should win. I know Pittsburgh beat Tampa last week, but those are some unique circumstances with Tom being away from the team on Friday night, and the Buccaneers' offensive line is just terrible right now. They had no business losing that game, but they did. I don't think Pittsburgh can duplicate that performance in Miami. So I do think Miami and Dallas win. I do want to highlight one thing you said, which is very true. The young players needing to be policed and knowing that, hey, if you're injured, you can sit out. You don't have to be on the field right now. That's going to be big for Mike McDaniels because as a rookie head coach, you obviously want to win as many games as you can. You have a quarterback who wants to prove himself to everyone. There were a lot of doubters about Tua coming into this season, but you got to do right by Tua and make sure that he doesn't put himself in harm's way by returning to the field if he's not ready.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And then on the other side of that, Dak has to stay healthy as well. Because now we're talking about back-to-back seasons where you're missing chunks of the season. You got your money. Now you got to show and prove. I do love the combination at running back, and we kind of spoke about this, earlier on in the season with Tony Pollard, and kind of even feeling like it's time for Tony Pollard to actually be the number one guy. But they do have a nice combination. I kind of go back to the smash and dash from the Giants back in the Brandon Jacobs years. I kind of compare that to this situation here. But they have the running game is looking strong. Even without the starting left tackle, which I thought was going to be a bigger loss for them than even Dak would be, they've kind of been able to hold on, and guys have stepped up and filled into those spots perfectly. They're starting to actually get healthier now with their wide receivers coming back. I know Gallup should be back soon as well. And obviously, if you got CeeDee Lamb out there, you got somebody, a special wide receiver that can definitely do a lot for your team. So I'm looking forward to those two games. Those are going to be, two of the games I'm definitely watching, just, from the standpoint of I want to make sure that those guys are back. And especially, with Tua, I just want to make sure he's back, and he should really be on the field right now. But we won't know until we see that first hit. We'll see how he responds to that. But I will be looking forward to that game. We had a big trade go down this week. One of the top NFL stars, one of the top fantasy football guys. I want maybe like the past 5 or 6 years, maybe even how long has McCaffrey been one of the top fantasy football guys?
For at least 4 years. I mean, the injury slowed him down, obviously, but he definitely was always a first or second round pick for those 4 years.
Absolutely. He is now on the move. He's going to the West Coast. He's going back to Cali. He will be playing alongside of Deebo Samuel, Jimmy Garoppolo, and George Kittle in that 49ers offense, which I think can definitely use a boost at the running back spot with the young kid Elijah Mitchell being hurt right now. The 49ers get an all-pro running back who, which is crazy because they kind of have an all-pro wide receiver running back with Deebo Samuel. Now they have an all-pro running back wide receiver with Christian McCaffrey. And the Panthers get a couple of draft picks, a second, a fourth, and a sixth, I believe it was that they.
And a third is included in there as well because the 49ers had multiple third-round picks this year that they threw one in there.
Okay. Obviously, they I think that they're probably tanking for one of these, maybe one of these young quarterbacks, whether I think CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, who will be coming out. I think they might be setting up for the future. But how big of an impact will Christian McCaffrey have on the San Francisco 49ers offense?
I think he'll have a huge impact. He's a guy that Kyle Shanahan has wanted since he took over that job. There were reports that he had flirted with the idea of drafting McCaffrey second overall his first year as head coach there, and they decided to build up the defense instead. But his versatility, his ability to catch out of the backfield, obviously his ability to run, his ability to be a decoy as well, because you mentioned they're going to move Deebo around a lot as well. I think there's a match made in heaven. Kyle Shanahan, he wakes up out of bed and can produce a 1,000-yard running back. So now you give him a guy who already was a 1,000-yard running back without this type of weapons around him, without this type of talent around him. He's going to do amazing things in San Francisco. And I don't think ironic that the two top bidders for McCaffrey were the 49ers and Rams. You're talking about two innovative head coaches who probably already had a game plan of how they wanted to use him. The 49ers get him. I think this completely shifts not only that division, but the NFC.
Yes, I agree with you. I think it does as well. Um, I think that this kind of makes them when you know the team to beat now in the NFC when you compare they may have the best defense in the NFC right now. And they still have guys that have been out who actually will be coming back
Mhm.
for today's game versus the Chiefs. But now when you add an all pro running back who is someone that Jimmy G will be able to just kind of dump short passes to, and he can just make the play for you. Kind of like what Tom Brady had back in New England with James White, and now he could catch the football in the backfield. I think this makes them the team to beat because now you know McCaffrey, as long as he can stay healthy, obviously health is every team has to stay healthy in order for them to really have that ultimate success. But if he stays healthy, you know, Jimmy G is a guy who's gotten you to the playoffs before. I think he can do it again, but now I think the burden on Jimmy G has just got a lot easier because now you have a legitimate guy who can run the ball and get you 80, 90, 100 yards a game, and he can also catch out of the backfield and get you maybe 60, 70 yards receiving at any given Sunday, Monday, or Thursday because we got a whole bunch of games, game
And,
day.
and don't forget Saturdays as we get closer to Christmas, because there'll be Saturday games then too.
Exactly. So any one of those days, McCaffrey can put up, crazy numbers for you. And I think that's gonna make things so much easier and open things up for guys like George Kittle, guys like Debo, who already can pretty much do whatever they want at any point in time anyway. They also, you also got Brandon Ayuk on the other side of that as well. That offense, obviously, I would love, for the 49ers to maybe have an upgrade at quarterback, but I think that when you add in Christian McCaffrey, he's gonna make that offense explosive, even more explosive than when the things that I've seen Debo Samuel do out there on the field. So to have that combination, now you can't just say, all right, well, we're just gonna throw a couple extra guys on Debo or throw a couple extra guys on Kittle because you have to be prepared for that running game and what they're going to be able to do with Christian McCaffrey. I love the trade for the 49ers. For the Panthers, I get it. They're saying they got a lot of draft picks. However, they did turn down an offer where they could have got first round draft picks. I was a little surprised by that, but I guess they probably figured they would prefer the multiple picks as opposed to less picks, but getting a first round draft pick in the deal. And again, it's
I,
football. So
Yeah, I think in terms of McCaffrey, aside from the picks, they also wanted to kind of get up from under his contract because he's still under contract for 3 more years. So
yeah,
they were trying to unload that money and go full tank mode. So to your point, yeah, I think they probably did explore opportunities to get the first, but I'm sure those first round picks came with teams saying, hey, but you got to eat up a large chunk of the salary, since we're giving you so much draft capital. But yeah, I mean, for the 49ers, it's an amazing move. For the Panthers, we know they're in tank mode. They've been searching for their quarterback since Cam left, and so they're trying to go back into that market. For the 49ers too, man, as you highlighted with all the guys they got, you talk about not only all pro caliber guys in Debo and Kittle and now McCaffrey, but you talk about the versatility because Kittle might be the best blocking tight end in football. So his ability to block and catch, Debo's ability to be moved around the offense, whether it be running back, wide receiver, slot, McCaffrey's ability to do the same things. I don't know how many snaps McCaffrey's going to play today, but I'm going to be watching because I have a crazy feeling that Shanahan is going to have a lot of versatility in them formations. We may see McCaffrey out at slot with Debo in the backfield at times. They're going to get very creative.
yeah, I agree. I'm actually looking forward to, shout out to Will. I was doing the Friday night lives, and we spoke about this game, and I picked the Chiefs. Now I'm a little, now that I know McCaffrey is playing, I'm like, all right, hold on now. Things done changed up a little bit on me. So we got to wait and see. I don't know exactly again how much they're going to be using McCaffrey this game, just because I don't, has he been able to really get acclimated to the offense, and have they been able to get acclimated to him? Because there are going to be some changes, within that offense, probably little tweaks, but you do have to account for a workload running back come in there. You kind of want to, run the football a little bit more than now than they did before, because you have a Christian McCaffrey out there. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they work the offense with McCaffrey in there. Um, Another big return, DeAndre Hopkins. He returned from his suspension. Looked good out there in his return, 100 plus yards. Kyler Murray looked a lot better with DeAndre Hopkins. We kind of, we spoke about this last season when DeAndre Hopkins got hurt, and how different that Arizona Cardinals team looked with him on the field as opposed to with him off the field. They also wound up picking up Robbie Anderson from the Panthers as well to help out. Uh, I'm glad D Hop is back, man. We need those top receivers back in football on the field. I know he was excited. He dropped a little hype tape for his return as well. How do you think Arizona does moving forward in the season with the return of DeAndre Hopkins? Obviously, guys got to stay healthy, but what do you think about that, Eric?
I mean, obviously, it makes them a much better team. You see that right away. I believe going into Thursday night, they had lost every first half of every game so far this season. So, they were trailing every game, and then they needed Kyler to be heroic in the second half of those games to be able to, be competitive and in some cases win. Now with Hopkins, you have your complete team. You look better. They put up the 42 points. They look like the team from last year that made the playoffs. The only thing for me is I still don't trust Cliff Kingsbury. I don't think Kyler Murray trusts him. You saw the blow up on the sideline. And also, the NFC is deep, man. When you look at the NFC East with the amount of teams that are good there, obviously the West is good because Seattle is not the doormat we thought they were going to be. Minnesota has exceeded expectations, and we expect Green Bay to still be in the mix. It's going to be very tough for Arizona to kind of save their season and make the playoffs. I think they become more competitive. I think they become a scarier team. But ultimately, for me, I still don't see them as a playoff team just because of all their shortcomings and just because I can't stand their coach, man.
Eric, you've been on the campaign to get him up out of there for some time now. Um, I do think the return makes them a lot better. Um, they needed this win. Thursday night
Oh, yeah.
football. They needed that win badly, because you don't want to start falling too far behind in the standings if you're if you're Arizona. So he comes in at just the right time. They get a big win on Thursday night football over the New Orleans Saints. Uh, and that offense looks good again. I haven't seen that offense look good, since that good since last season. Good thing is the NFC West is struggling right now. San Fran, obviously leading the way at 3-3 on the season. So the league is close. Everything is close. It's anybody's division right now in the NFC West. So they definitely do have a chance. I don't know if they can make a deep run, especially, with everything that we just said in regards to Christian McCaffrey, joining the 49ers and them actually, having it, even though they're tied with the Rams right now for the division lead. But I don't see them making a deep run. But I do think he changes things for them a lot, and I think that we'll see them continue to improve. Again, how they do in the playoffs, we'll have to wait and see on that one. But I love it. I love it for Kyler Murray. Every young quarterback needs that number one wide receiver to kind of help them get over the hump. We seen that in Buffalo with Josh Allen. We've seen that in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. So I love it. I'm glad he's back. That offense is just so much better with DeAndre Hopkins in it. Obviously, he's one of the best wide receivers in football still. So I like it. I like it for the team.
Yeah, that's a fact. Like I said, it makes them more competitive. To me, I don't think they're better than San Fran. I don't think they're better than the Rams. So at the very least, you're talking about a third place team, and with how deep the NFC has become now, again, you got three really good teams out east that I think all those teams are probably better than the Cardinals. I would put Philly. Dallas and the Giants above the Cardinals in terms of playoff rankings. So that in itself, like I said, you're already sitting behind the eight ball. You're two teams in front of you in your own division. You got three teams in another division that are better than you. You know, Tampa's going to win their division, so that's one slot. And then, you know, we got the North, like I said, with Minnesota and Green Bay, who even, I'm not writing off Green Bay just yet, though today is going to be big for them against the Commanders. I'm not writing them off just yet because they still have Aaron Rodgers. So that's where it gets tough for the Cardinals. But you're right. To get Hop back, you got to have him. He is one of the best receivers in the game. His impact was felt right away. 9 catches right off the bat, coming in and, you know, right pretty much off the street. Like I ain't played, you know, all year, but just put me in there and I'm good for 9 and a buck and change. So it's great to see him back on the field.
Absolutely. You gotta love that for them, for Arizona, for Kyler Murray. Hopefully they calm things down until they get your boy out of there, because they was going, him and Kyler Murray was going at it on the sideline.
Well, Kyler, you know what Kyler said though? Kyler said, I've been listening to the lives on Friday, and Eric was right about you. That's what he was saying. If you read his lips, he's saying Eric was right about you, and Cliff was like, calm down. Hop was trying to tell him, chill, don't tell him nothing yet. Don't put him on the game. Don't tell him nothing. You know, but we'll see. That them dudes is too talented though. I'll say this. I know Kyler gets a lot of criticism, but those two dudes are too talented for the Cardinals to struggle the way they do, and for them to be used the way they are. Because it makes no sense when you look at, and I apologize in advance for the rant, but if you look at some of these other young quarterbacks and how good their coaches put them in position to be successful, right? You look at Jalen Hurts from last year and what Nick Sirianni has done in a year and a half with him. There's no reason that Kyler Murray and the Cardinals struggle the way they do when you have that type of athlete at quarterback.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, it is what it is. It's that time. He's definitely one of the coaches that's on the hot seat. If they don't wind up making the playoffs, he's definitely gonna be up out of there. But I think this is probably gonna be his last year as well. You got your young quarterback that you wanted, who's looking like a future superstar in this league. So, you know, you need the proper people around him, and Cliff is not it. So, you know, they're gonna have to figure something out moving forward, because again, that it is a tough division. Even though, you know, the Rams have started off slow, but that division is really tough. Um, so we'll see how things go. But welcome back to D Hop. We missed you in the league. With one more wide receiver who's been out on injury, Odell Beckham Jr., but it's looking like he's getting ready to make his return from injury. Last time we saw him, he was looking like the Super Bowl MVP last year before he got hurt. You know, I know Cooper Kupp ultimately winds up taking that one, but I for one believe Odell Beckham Jr. is the Super Bowl MVP if he doesn't get hurt in that game, because he was pretty much doing whatever he wanted.
Oh, that's a fact. I believe, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but before he got hurt, he already had like 3 catches for 40 yards in that first quarter of the Super Bowl. So he was well on his way to a big Super Bowl day, big Super Bowl game. I'm happy he did get the ring, because you and I had alluded to it beforehand that would change the narrative about Odell Beckham Jr. in terms of being a winner and being a selfish guy, which is the way he was perceived in the past. So I'm happy that he's getting healthy. I'm looking forward to see where he lands, and I want to hear your take on that trip. Like, where do you think is the best fit for OBJ?
I'm gonna be honest with you. There's 2 spots.
And I know you're gonna say the Giants too, because I know behind closed doors you've been recruiting them to try to come back, saying, you know, just come back home. Saquon's healthy now. We got an actual head coach now. Come back home.
I mean, that's the number 1 spot would be to come home to the Giants. You know, Odell's most iconic moment as a player is still in the New York Giants uniform, that one-hander against the Dallas Cowboys. So obviously I would love that. I don't think it's gonna happen, but you know, if I could, listen, the Giants is 5-1 right now. They might start off the season 6-1, because I think, you know, they should get the win today versus Jacksonville. But I don't see it. It's just too much went down with Odell in New York. So, and I think he wants to go back to a legitimate contender. And as much as, you know, I love my Giants and I'm so proud of everything they've been able to accomplish this season, I don't think they're legit Super Bowl contenders right now. I think that, you know, they still need an upgrade at the quarterback position. I don't think Daniel Jones is enough. So with that being said, there's two places that I think really work, for Odell if he wants to win a championship. One of those places is Green Bay. Um, Aaron Rodgers desperately needs a wide receiver out there, and he's pretty much only had one wide receiver, the majority of his career, and we see how that worked out with Devontae Adams and how good their connection was, and it was that connection was pretty much good enough to get him back to back MVPs because outside of Devontae Adams, there was really no other weapons at the wide receiver position for Aaron Rodgers. I think having someone like that would benefit both of those guys, and I think we would see a huge uptick in Green Bay. And I think all you have to do is kind of get into the playoffs as long as everybody stays healthy. And then the other team, obviously, in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, if you add Odell Beckham Jr. to that team, I think that kind of pushes them right back to the top. I think we'll see I mean, even though I still think it'll be the AFC Championship game is going to come down to Bills and Chiefs anyway. But now you got a guy out there who can make those big plays for you. We know what Patrick Mahomes can do. He's a magician on the field, but to have a guy that can get downfield the way Odell can with that type of speed, and obviously he don't have the cheetah speed that Tyreek Hill has, but Odell is pretty fast in his own right. And when he's healthy, he is one of the top wide receivers in this game. And I think that he could possibly push the Chiefs over the edge, and we'll be talking about back-to-back Super Bowl wins for Odell Beckham Jr. So those are the two spots. The only other place, maybe in Baltimore, just because any number one receiver would help out Lamar Jackson. But the way they've been struggling right now on the defensive end, I don't even know, what they'll be able to do come playoff time if they don't get things together, ASAP. So, but those are the two spots. But I think the Chiefs would for me be, if I'm Odell, that would be the number one spot I'm looking at going to, and I know the Chiefs would love to have him.
Yeah, I like both those fits. We know Green Bay desperately needs a wide receiver right now. So I think Green Bay does make a lot of sense. I think Kansas City should probably be the number one team on this list. We saw Kansas City kind of struggle a little bit in the second half last week to get receivers open, and Odell could change that and open up the field. And him and Mahomes and Kelsey, I mean, would be an amazing 1-2-3 punch there. I'm gonna throw two more teams in the mix that I really like though. I like Buffalo for him. We've heard Von Miller, kind of flirt with him online and say come to Buffalo. But him and Diggs with Allen, I think would be great. We saw last week Isaiah McKenzie struggle with the drops, and Gabriel Davis, though they really like him as a number two, he's been injured all season. So if you can bring in some stability with OBJ and give you another weapon for Josh Allen, like you said, that would definitely tip the scales in Buffalo's favor because we do expect them in Kansas City to be facing off. One other team that could be a dark horse just because they love to make the splash. They love to bring in big name guys, and they too want to be able to tip the scales in their favor in the NFC. Watch out for the Dallas Cowboys, man, because Michael Gallup's been hurt most of the year. They just get him back. Now with Dak back, they would love to get another weapon for Dez. If you add OBJ with Dez with that running game, that might be the advantage they need to be better than Philly and San Fran, who I think are the best two teams in the NFC. Dallas is just a notch beneath them. But if you add OBJ to that mix, now you're talking about possibly being the best team in the NFC.
Now hold on, so I'm gonna need you to slow down right there because ain't gonna be you don't go from being the Giants to the Dallas Cowboys. We ain't doing. Don't even put that in the atmosphere, Eric. Don't put
just saying.
Nah,
Jerry,
don't put out there.
Jerry, he likes his big name guys over there, right?
He does.
And I would not be surprised if he's sending messages on the low like, hey, OB, you would look great with a star on your helmet here. I don't know if you, and like you said, you had your greatest moment against us. Why not come play for us now and try to win something?
You know what? You're right. He might try to pull a stunt like that, Eric. But I ain't letting it happen. I'm gonna make some calls around the league.
You got it.
He beefing with Robert Kraft right now, so I'll talk to Kraft. I'll see if we can make some things happen. But that ain't going down. We hashtag no Odell in Dallas. That's what we're doing.
You might have to pull a Daniel Snyder and be like, I got some dirt on you, Jerry. Don't do it. I got some dirt on you, Jerry. Don't even think about it.
Hey, I got Gruden up out of there, right? You got Gruden up out of there.
That's a fact.
There you go, man. Oh my goodness. Um, Here we go. Tom Brady. They struggling. Tampa Bay is struggling right now. They a bad loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Tom Brady has doubled down. He said he ain't retiring no time soon. And I'm okay with that because Tom doesn't look bad out there. If he was looking bad, I'd be like, all right, Tom, this might be the year, for you to wrap it up. But he's still playing at a high level, and they've been dealing with a lot of injuries. But how many more years do you think we gonna get out of Tom Brady though?
I mean, I think we could get just off production. I think you could probably squeeze out another year or two. The trouble with Tampa is their O line, man. The injuries, the guys that left, and then they dealt with some injuries at the wide receiver position. I still don't think Chris Godwin is 100%. He doesn't have that safety blanket in Gronk anymore. Leonard Fournette reported out of shape, so he's probably still getting himself together. These are the things that are just really holding Tampa back. So in terms of the first question, I think Tom could give you another year or two, maybe. I don't see why he would rush retirement, because if the rumors are true that him and Giselle are going through a divorce, he ain't in no rush to go home at this point. He want to keep playing. But in terms of being able to win and play at a Super Bowl level, I don't know if we're going to get to see that again, because I just don't think Tampa's close enough to that. If he stays in Tampa, I don't see a path where they really improve the roster much more, because this O-line is so decimated right now. You would have to rebuild that offensive line to give you a shot again to make the type of run you made 2 years ago.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, listen, man, it's the GOAT.
That's a fact. Yeah.
So I can't go against them. Guys in the media have gone against Tom Brady and whether or not he should retire for, I want to say, at least 5 to 7 years now, and the guy keeps winning. The guy, like, he keeps having success the older he gets. So if Tom Brady want to keep playing, I'm going to support Tom Brady keep playing. First of all, we always about getting to the bag. So if you can continue to get those checks coming in at that age, Tom Brady, then by all means go ahead. Hopefully Tampa, can get back healthy. But again, Tom Brady still looks good out there. He's still in the upper echelon of quarterbacks in this league at his age now. So, if he says he's staying, he's staying. And I'm all for that. Before we get out of football really quick, I gotta give the people out there a fantasy football update. If you are in the Real Fans Real Talk Fantasy Football League, or if you just watch the Real Fans Real Talk Fantasy Football League because you want to see who's winning from week to week. Right now, I'll give you guys the heads up on who's running the league right now. At the halfway point. On one side of the football, Trip Young ballers, we doing it, and on the other side of the football, we got who's in first place on the other side of that bracket. We have Jonathan, who's been a past winner of the Real Fans Real Talk Football season fantasy football league. He's actually in first place in Division 2. Eric, you got to step your game up. I need you to step your game up a little bit in fantasy football this league because I want you in the playoffs this year.
Well, I'm gonna be in the playoffs. You can book it. All right. We've been playing possum right now, and now we're gonna get ourselves going. You got to remember, I made the move for Justin Herbert. Then he was hurt for a few weeks, so that really set me back a little bit.
Okay,
you're right. Now we're gonna get it going. It's gonna be a big week. We're gonna make the playoffs, man. We're gonna be there, man.
All right, listen, that's all I wanted. I want the team to at least be, make it to the Final Four. After that, then it's the season.
Either I'm gonna be there, or in a few weeks I'm gonna go on a rant the way that Jim Mora did, and I'm like, playoffs. Well, one or two is gonna happen, but we're expecting to make a run right now.
Shout out to Sean Fontaine. He's actually in second place in Division 2 right now. And shout out to our technical director Cliff. He's pulling up the rear right now in Division 1. So shout out, but big shout out to everybody that's in the fantasy football league. Y'all want that coveted trophy. Y'all want the spot, the chance to come up here and talk your sports talk your fantasy football talk with us. And you got to get that number one spot. You got to get the dub in fantasy football. We'll keep you guys updated as the league continues. A little bit of NBA news, a little sad news in the NBA. We got to send our condolences out to the family and friends of longtime NBA referee Tony Brown. He recently passed away, so we're gonna send our love and respect out to the longtime NBA ref. Some good news, some positive news. Dikembe Mutombo. If you guys hadn't heard, he was dealing with some illness, and it looks like he's doing better now. Which I'm really happy about. He had a brain tumor, which is that is nothing to play with. But it seems like he's doing better now. So we definitely want to wish Dikembe a speedy recovery. No to the brain tumor. Get up out of there. We need health for that good brother right there. Shout out to Dikembe Mutombo.
No, that's a fact, man. Dikembe, not only an NBA Hall of Famer, but a great humanitarian for
Yes.
all his work across the world. So we do send our prayers to him and his family and hope for a speedy recovery. And I wanted to just piggyback something on Tony Brown. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers to his family, man. Two things I wanted to highlight about him. Obviously, he was the NBA. He was part of the ref crew that worked the finals in the
I
bubble.
think we lost
That
you
was
for a
his first
second, Eric.
NBA finals that he had been officiating. And also, he was part of the officiating crew for the All-Star game 2 years ago when they recognized the HBCUs and it was an all-black crew. So definitely, applaud him for all of his work in the NBA as an official, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family, man. So I think you good now?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
all right,
good
you
now.
froze up there for a second. All right.
Go ahead, Eric. We good.
Oh, no. All right. So now I was just like I said, I don't know if it froze up as I was speaking, but like I said, I wanted to highlight, him being a part of the officiating crew for the finals in the bubble, and also the officiating crew that was recognized during the HBCU recognition of the All-Star game 2 years ago as well, man. So a great career, and unfortunately, he passed at such a young age. He was only 55 years old, man.
Yeah, definitely condolences again. Let's jump into some NBA, man. The
Let's
new
get
season is here, and some teams are struggling right now. We're gonna talk about two teams, one of which is the team I'm under contract with for the next couple of years, and that's the Los Angeles Lakers out in the Western Conference, and then out here in the Eastern Conference, the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid and James Harden. Both teams are winless right now. I know they've only played I think 2 games each, but they just haven't looked good. Embiid is actually looking really good though. He's still looking good. Harden looked good for one of the games. The other game he kind of struggled a little bit. As far as the Lakers go, I think there's so much going on with the Lakers right now that we have to kind of break down. But I think it starts with Russell Westbrook, and I think it's time. They tried it, they gave it a chance to work. I don't see it working, and then now because you know the way Westbrook has been struggling to start the season, I don't know if it's mentally getting to him now with every night somebody's getting at Russell Westbrook. Um, he might have had one of his worst games of his NBA career the other night, going 0 for 11 from the field. The Lakers have to make a move at this point. Like I think it's pretty much the writing is on the wall. You got to do something.
Yeah, they're trying to keep everyone calm and not give off, an image of panic. I heard them recently say that they were going to wait till after Thanksgiving to make a move, but I don't think they can wait that long. To be honest, this team doesn't have enough shooting. Their next 4 games, I think, are going to be really telling about the direction of this season and possibly the organization if they decide to make a move. Because to end off the month of October, they get Portland today, they get Denver 2 times, and then they get Minnesota. All four of those teams are expected to be playoff potential teams. Obviously, Denver's expected to be a high playoff team. So is Minnesota. But if they don't come out of that stretch at least with 2 victories, then the pressure's on Rob Pelinka to make a move as quickly as possible so that this ship doesn't start to sink too early. Again, I do not think they can wait to Thanksgiving to make a move. By then, you would be a full month into the season, and you may fall too far behind to really be an impactful team. They got to make a move. They got to figure it out. Bringing Russell off the bench is not the move to make. That's not going to change anything because you still don't have enough shooting, even if you move him to the bench. So they've got to find a way to go get some shooters or get Russ off of the roster and get shooters that way. Either way, a move needs to be made.
Yeah. I agree, man. I've been saying, man, forget that damn second draft pick. Get that draft pick up to Indiana. Let them have it. Win now. You know what I mean? You have LeBron James about to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the all-time scoring list and be the number one guy. You really want to waste that type of accomplishment on and you can barely make the playoffs. You can barely make the play-in tournament because as constructed, you know, I'm not even sure they can make the play-in tournament right now as constructed. Like you said it, you hit the nail on the head. There is no shooting. LeBron James cannot be your best shooter. That's not going to be a winning recipe.
And I think one of the warning signs that we should be paying attention to is LeBron already through 2 games is averaging 9 threes a game. That is not Bron's game. And he's forcing those threes because, as you mentioned, there is no one else he can trust to take the 3. So now he's trusting himself to do it.
Yeah, and then once you go down and you kind of have to shoot, you don't have a choice. And it's like, all right, well, who am I kicking it to? Westbrook? No, because he's not a shooter. Patrick Beverly can make him, but he's not a shooter. Lonnie Walker is not a shooter. There's really no shooting, and which the 2 areas that the Lakers are lacking the most. One obviously is shooting, and the other one is rim protection and defense. And it's like you have the opportunity to bring over 2 guys from Indiana that can actually help fill both of those voids. If you go get Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, I'm not with holding on to picks. Yeah, I get it. It would be nice. But at the end of the day, those picks are 50-50.
Yeah.
You can draft a LeBron James, but guess what? You can also draft a Kwame Brown.
Yeah.
You can draft a Kobe Bryant, but you can also draft a Greg Oden who can't stay healthy. So if you have the opportunity right now, obviously LeBron is kind of is past his prime right now, but him being past his prime is still like the prime of the majority of the NBA. You have Anthony Davis, who actually looks really good. Now, hopefully he has to stay healthy. That's one. But to start the season, Anthony Davis has actually looked really good. But you have to start making moves because this isn't going to work as is. Like you said, Russell Westbrook coming off the bench doesn't change anything. It doesn't make him a shooter because he's coming off the bench. It just means he's coming off the bench.
That's it.
That's it. And you have a log jam at point guards. I hate the starting lineup with Lonnie Walker, Patrick Beverly, and Russell Westbrook all starting together. I when I saw that lineup, I was confused as to what the hell Darvin Ham was doing because that just makes no sense to me.
But he's so limited because the roster itself is so flawed. Like even if you move, let's say if you wanted to keep Lonnie out there because you're already playing undersized. Technically, Braun is playing the 4.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right, you want to keep Lonnie Walker out there to give you a little bit more size on defense. All right. So if you bench Russ, who's playing in place of Russ? Austin Reeves,
Kendrick Nunn, I guess.
Kendrick Nunn, right? So, like I'm saying, like it's not as if there's a solution to change up the lineup anyway. For Rob Pelinka, though, and you mentioned this about giving up the picks and trying to be competitive now. This is Rob Pelinka's mess anyway, because you and I had extensive conversations when the Lakers made the move for AD. And though we liked it on the surface, we both said this is a big gamble for a guy who has a long checkered health history. He can't stay healthy year in, year out. You gave up a lot of assets, not only players, but draft capital now. So now you become, gun shy to make this move because it's like the Pelicans already own so many of our future picks. If we're going to give up 2 more picks, and let's say in a year or 2, Bron does walk away from the game, now we're stuck with AD, whoever we make this trade for, and no picks moving forward. And we could be in a worse position than we're in right now, because then we would expect AD to carry us. And there is no history showing that he can do that. So Rob Pelinka now has made a bigger mess for himself, and now he's got to figure out how to get out of it. I would not be surprised if after the season Genie parts ways with him, because I don't think he's been a great GM. They've kind of wasted those Braun years when you think about it. I know Braun is dealt with more injuries with the Lakers than he's dealt with anywhere else. But in his 5 seasons there, they're on the verge of missing the playoffs for the 3rd time. If they don't make it this year, that's their 3rd playoff miss with LeBron on their roster, which is damn near unheard of when you consider that Braun has still been a top 5, top 6 player this whole time with the Lakers. It's almost unheard of that you would have that level of talent in him and AD, and yet you missed the playoffs last year because you didn't build enough of a supporting cast around him that could sustain the injuries. And you're in the same position again. If Braun or AD miss 15 or 20 games this year, this becomes a terrible season, not only for the Lakers in terms of their record, but the Pelicans own that draft pick this year. You got to make a move to be competitive. If not, the Pelicans could be staring at a top 5 pick with Wembanyama on the board.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Like, think about, imagine if it gets to that where, let's say if AD he took a fall the other night, right? If AD, let's say, misses 15 or 20 games, I've said last year I thought it was unfair to Braun to play the amount of minutes he was playing.
Yeah.
No matter how you feel about LeBron is an all-time great in the game. And for year 19, you're asking him to carry that team with no help. It's like, bro, this is a recipe for disaster right now. You're going to wear this guy out, and you got him injured last year. Yeah. If one of those guys go down, if we get to April and the Lakers are a bottom 5 team, and the Pelicans with all that young talent are now looking at a possibility of getting Wembanyama, that is going to go down as one of the all-time worst NBA trades ever. Yeah, the Lakers got their one out of it, but you might have started a potential dynasty in New Orleans because you wanted Anthony Davis.
And Zion just got the TS chain too, so he probably gonna come out here, just going crazy. And they got the best record in it. I mean, it's early. We just started, but when you get the TS piece, yesterday's price ain't today's price no more.
Right.
You got to level up with that. So yeah, you're right. They have to do something, and that's the other reason why it makes so much sense to go after Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, because Miles Turner, they can help each other take some of the pressure off of each other at the 4 and 5 spot. It just makes so much sense. I get it. You don't want to get rid of all your draft picks, but I mean, those 27 and 29 is far from now. You can maneuver some things around between now and then to possibly get a draft pick or 2 in return. And they still do have draft picks, because they have picks that they weren't able to trade. So they still do have some draft picks. But if you can get that, if you can get Miles Turner over, you help AD, stay healthy, because he doesn't have to do everything at either playing a 4 or playing a 5, whichever one it is. He doesn't have to do everything. He has some help, and he has a guy who can rebound, who can block shots, who can play defense, and a guy who can actually still kind of step out and shoot the basketball. He can hit the 3. Obviously, he's not, shooting like Dirk was at that height, but he's somebody who can step back and hit the 3. So that actually, you get help on the defensive end, and you get somebody who can kind of space the floor out, for you, because he can hit that jump shot. And then, Buddy Hield, obviously we know he's a shooter, so that trade really helps out the Lakers. On the other side of that, the Philadelphia 76ers, I saw some people talking about they were the favorites to go to the finals to come out of the Eastern Conference. I didn't agree with that. I think a healthy Bucks team is still the team to beat. Obviously, they're still waiting on the return of Chris Middleton, but he'll be back, and I think they'll be good moving forward. I'm just not sure about the 76ers, just because, again, I still am not confident in James Harden in the playoffs. I still haven't seen much of anything that would lead me to believe, okay, James Harden is over the hump, and this really good Philly team, he's going to be the key to them getting to the finals and ultimately winning one. For me, he's got to show improve. And that's not to take away from the superstar that James Harden is, but just come playoff time, I haven't seen it consistently enough to where I say, all right, if they go to the Eastern Conference Finals, they're gonna win.
Yeah, it ain't happening. I, I love Joel Embiid. I've been on record. To me, he was the MVP last year in the league. I like Tyrese Maxey, but I don't. They're another team that I really don't like their roster. I don't see how Tobias Harris really fits with this team because now Tobias probably should be the fourth option because Maxey has kind of replaced them in the pecking order. But what they've really created is the Eastern version of what the Rockets were, where it's Harden with a lot of dribbling up top and just spacing the floor. They don't get the ball to Embiid enough in the post. I just don't understand what Doc Rivers is doing with this team schematically because Embiid should be getting your 25 to 30 shots a night. It shouldn't be the other way around. And I know Harden has gotten off to a good start, but this team is supposed to be built around Joel Embiid. And this team is not going to have a deep playoff run as currently constructed. They're not that good defensively. They need to find a true identity. And I don't think Doc Rivers is the coach for this team. You talked about trusting him in the playoffs. Yeah, that's big for James Harden, but that's also big for Doc Rivers because we can't overlook the fact of how many times he's blown 3-1 leads in the playoffs. We can't overlook how many times he's been outcoached in the playoffs. So this team has multiple issues that I think Daryl Morey is going to have to figure out. I don't think there's a trade for them to make, but it may come in the form of moving on from Doc Rivers because I just don't think this current roster with Doc Rivers is good enough together to get them over the hump. They're not better than Milwaukee. They're not better than Boston. In a series, I would probably still take Brooklyn over them. So I've already given you 3 teams that I don't think they can beat in a series.
Yeah,
they got to make changes.
And I'm glad that you brought up Doc Rivers because we actually had somebody on Facebook comment in that Doc Rivers is overrated. I can't see the name of the person because it just says Facebook user. So if you want to type in your name in the chat, whoever that is on Facebook that was commenting, they kind of also feel like Doc Rivers is overrated. I'm not gonna say he's overrated. I just think that he might not be the fit for the Philadelphia 76ers. Because I do think Doc Rivers is a good coach. It doesn't, it's just because you have success with one team doesn't mean that success is going to transfer over. Shout out to Mario Edwards. That's who it was that was dropping that comment. I'm not even sure.
That's my man right there, Carolina Sports Plus, Mario Edwards. He checking it. He checking on the road, man. Hey, bro, I saw you. He was out. I don't know the exact location, but he was at a festival, man. He had that joint lit up. He had the jerseys, the banners out there. He always on the road on the weekends getting the merchandise out there. We appreciate you tuning in, man.
Well, big shout out for that. Much love. In regards to Tobias Harris, though, yeah, I think it's time to move on. That's who should have, been sent packing instead of letting Jimmy Butler go. They should have kept Jimmy Butler and let Tobias Harris go. And Eric, I try my best to always support the New York guys. He's from New York. He's from Long Island. So I still try to support the brother. But if it's not working, it's not working. I don't think, as the third member of, I guess, their quote unquote big three, he just doesn't, he doesn't do enough for me. I think it is time for them to move on. As how they could, maneuver him out of there and bring somebody back in. I'm not even sure what that really just yet. But I do think that ultimately they're going to have to move on from Tobias Harris. I just don't think he helps the team. I love what Embiid's doing though. I think he should have been in the MVP the last 2 seasons. And even with James Harden kind of being sporadic going up and down, I do like those two as a 1-2 punch. But there's some other moves. Something got to be done. Whether it is them getting rid of Doc Rivers, or making a trade, something has to be done in Philly. If they're gonna ultimately get a title. Shout out to Ryan.
Shout out to Ryan. I was about to present the question to you. I was gonna let you take that one first. His question is, do you think the Giants will make the playoffs trip? I'll let you start that off because I know, again, you've been taking your victory lap for the last month and a half on the Giants. So I'll let you go first.
Listen, man, the Giants are looking really well. At 5-1, they're looking really strong. The defense is surprisingly better. They just lost Aziz though, but they do bring
Aziz Ojulari.
Yeah, but they do bring back Landon Collins, which I like. He's somebody familiar with the organization. So I like that. Saquon Barkley is looking healthy. I believe he's second right now in the league in rushing yards, and in a very tough, competitive NFC East, they are right in the thick of things, hanging in there. So yeah, I think the Giants do make the playoffs ultimately. Now, I ain't gonna say they're gonna win a division. You know what I'm saying? That's a little bit wishful thinking. But from what I've seen so far, they're continuing to impress me every week. Um, Beating some pretty good teams along the way. So yeah, I do think the Giants ultimately hang on, and they do make the playoffs.
I agree. As I said a little earlier, I think the Giants will make the playoffs. 5-1, as you highlighted, but this is the soft part of their schedule. They got to get fat over the next 4 weeks. They get the Jaguars today. They get the Seahawks next week. Then they get the Texans and the Lions. At the very least, if they come out of that stretch 2-2 and they're sitting at 7-3, then it sets them up really well
I need
for
you
the
to
back
go.
end.
No.
Well, I'm listen. If they go 4-0, then that's best case scenario. Then
Yeah,
they'll be 9-1 and damn near guaranteed a spot in the playoffs.
that's why.
But right, but at the very least, if you go 2-2 in that part of the schedule and set yourself up at 7-3, the back part of the schedule is a little tougher because they still got the 2 games with Philly, they got another game with Dallas, and they got a game with the Vikings. So they got 4 playoff teams, 5 potentially, depending on where the Colts are when they meet them. But they have got at least 4 playoff teams left in the back end of their schedule. They
Yeah.
got to get fat right now, though. At least win 2 of these next 4, be 7-3, and then you put yourselves in position at least to get to 9-10 wins, which I think is going to be the magic number to get in. You got to get to probably about 10.
Yeah, honestly, I think they need all 4 of these games.
Well, if you win all 4, then you're talking about a chance at the division.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing: because of what's coming after those 4 games, where I feel like these games, if the Giants continue to play the way they're playing, they are fully capable of winning these games. The games, obviously, we know the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. Well, maybe not. Maybe they might be 1A, 1B now that McCaffrey is with the 49ers. But if you're really going to compete with that, and I think those games, I think the Giants can win those games, even if they split. That'd be great. But you kind of want to win these games that you should win right now to kind of, if you really want to guarantee that spot. Because if you go in and you win these next 4 very winnable games, and you come out of this thing 9-1, like you said, Eric, now we're talking. Now you're pretty much guaranteed that playoff spot. May even get a home game.
Yeah, if they win the 4, they're in. Because even though I highlighted some of the tougher games, you still got 2 games with the Commanders that, for whatever reason, Daniel Jones owns the Commanders. That's the one team that he always plays his best against. Mm-hmm. And they have so many quarterback issues and offensive line issues. I would expect the Giants to win both those games. So not counting victories ahead of time. But again, if you do go 4-0 the next month and get yourself to 9-1, you still got those 2 cupcakes against the Commanders that at least should get you to 10 wins, maybe even 11 wins. But I do expect the Giants to get in. When you look at the math as well, we talked about other divisions. The NFC South, I think, only is going to get 1 team in. Though I really like what Atlanta's doing. I think whoever wins the division is going to be the team in. I don't think they get a wild card out of that division. Yeah. The North, at the most, may get 2 teams if the Packers right their ship. If the Packers get things going, maybe the Packers get in. It looks like the Vikings are going to get in. And I think out West, you're only going to get 2 teams over there as well. Ryan also brought another one. He said, do you think Giants are going to get Odell? We addressed it earlier, but we'll bring it up again. Tripp and I both felt like it would be a good story, but I don't think he comes back to the Giants. Obviously, it wasn't a good breakup the first time, so I don't know if he would want to come back. Though, let's be fair, it is a different GM, different head coach there, so the relationship might be different. But I also think Odell's looking to play deeper into the playoffs. And some of the teams, if you missed it earlier, Ryan, we highlighted a couple of teams that we think give them a better shot to play deep in the playoffs. We talked about Kansas City. We talked about Buffalo. We talked about possibly Green Bay, him and Aaron Rodgers. And then I threw a dark horse out there that Tripp didn't like too much, where I said I could see Dallas trying to get in the mix for him as well.
Yeah. Listen, but you know what, Eric? Now that I see, because I wasn't really thinking about the schedule that was ahead of them. If the Giants make it to 9-1 before Odell comes back, you know what? Them chances might be a little increased. Maybe Odell does say, you know what? Let me go back to the Giants and try to help them win this thing. Who knows?
But tell Odell, look, just wait to Thanksgiving. Give us the Thanksgiving and let's see where we at, and then we talk then.
Well, because the Giants receivers have been horrible, so he gonna get all the catches all the passes he wants, all the targets he wants in the game. He can get 40 targets a game. if he wants to, seeing how bad the Giants receivers have played this season, I'm actually, the fact that the Giants receivers have been so horrible this season, and they're still 5-1, and in spite of that, says a lot about how good that defense has been playing, and how good the running game has been to kind of level things out.
Well,
Because
Brian Daboll is the coach of the year.
yeah,
I don't even think it's close. I think what he's been able to accomplish with this team, the roster is very flawed. Like Ryan said, they definitely need receivers over there. Whether it's been the injuries or guys just not performing, because Kenny Galladay's just been stealing money at this point.
yeah,
So the Giants have had to overcome that. Kadarius Toney can't stay healthy. Unfortunately, Sterling Shepard, who I really like, is out for the year. What he's done with the roster and playing to the strengths of the roster, I think it's been phenomenal. And you can see it every week. The comeback against Green Bay, that's taken on the personality of head coach. It would have been easy. Hey, we're down 10 points in London. Let's just hurry up, get up out of here. Nope, they fought back. Same thing against Baltimore. Down. Nope, they fought back. So I do like what he's doing. I think he's the coach of the year. He's found a way to get the most out of Daniel Jones.
Yep, exactly. Thanks, Ryan, for dropping those questions in. Ryan is he's actually a coach. He got the little guys though. He got the he was out there coaching youth football in Long Island. So big shout out to you. Shout out to the Glen Cove Cardinals.
Shout out to you, Ryan. If you're doing a good job, throw your name in the ring for the Arizona Cardinals coaching job, because they're gonna be looking for a head coach soon. So yeah. I'm sure Ryan got better stuff schematically than Cliff Kingsbury has over there.
He definitely, Ryan's definitely than Cliff Kingsbury. I can vouch for that. I've seen what he does with the young kids, and he's actually got he coached a couple of young kids right now that are in high school now. And one of them is going to be the number 1 running back in the state next season. So wow. I can definitely, shout out to Ryan for that. Oh, he's reffing now.
Shout out, yeah. He's
ref too, because these refs been doing a horrible job. They definitely need that. Where we at right now, man? All right, let's just do. All right, Eric, let's give our early season predictions really quick before we get out of the NBA. Who you got going to the Western Conference Finals, and who you got going to the Eastern Conference Finals?
All right, so yeah, because we remember we were gonna do it on Monday, and I know Trip, you weren't able to join it live, but we did it with Combo. So I'm gonna give you some of the same ones I had then. I got coming out of the West. I think it's going to be Memphis and Golden State in the Western Conference Finals, with Golden State moving on. Too talented, too tough, and they get a full year of Klay Thompson now. So I think they're going to be better this year than they were even last year. On the East side of things, I really love Milwaukee, man. I think Giannis and those boys get back to where they were 2 years ago. They get Chris Middleton back. So I like Milwaukee coming out of the East to face Golden State in the NBA Finals. I'm going to put Milwaukee going up against Brooklyn in the Eastern Conference Finals, because I do think Brooklyn will figure this thing out. I know they got to a little bit of a slow start, but they're going to figure it out. KD is still one of the top 3 or 4 guys in the league. Kyrie, hopefully with a full season, gets back into where he was at one point, and he's playing for a contract, so he should be motivated.
Yeah, you pretty much stole my picks.
I'm sorry.
Just in the Eastern Conference, you pretty much stole my picks. I think Brooklyn does figure this thing out. I think there's no mandates going on this season that Kyrie has to be worried about missing games. And I think that's going to be a huge difference having Kyrie there. One thing people forget, last season, before Kevin Durant went down with his injury, the Brooklyn Nets were in first place in the Eastern Conference. And a lot of people forget that, because things did get dark moving forward during the season. But prior to that, and I think that was probably maybe like around the halfway point of the season, but Brooklyn was in first place. I think they get things together. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Claxton. I think they do ultimately build that chemistry up. Obviously, again, with everything, health is going to be a big factor in that. They have to stay healthy. They have to build that chemistry. But I like Brooklyn a lot, and Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee, honestly, if Chris Middleton doesn't get hurt, I think Milwaukee would have won back-to-back championships. I'm just gonna be real with you. I think they win back-to-back. I think they get back to that this season. Shout out to Leo Morales. Don't make me do it.
No. Hold on. I'm gonna give you another bold prediction I had on Monday. I see Ryan and Leo. Shout out to those guys. I'm a diehard Knicks fan. I'm rocking with the Knicks. And nothing crazy though. This isn't a crazy prediction, but it's bold because it has never been done. The Atlantic Division as a whole, all 5 teams are gonna make the playoffs this year. The
Mm,
division is that good. Talking Brooklyn, Philly, Toronto, Boston, New York, all 5 of them will make the playoffs. I think that when you look at the East as a whole, Charlotte is going to take a step back. Obviously, LaMelo's hurt right now, and they still haven't figured out the situation with Bridges. So I think they're going to slip, and they're going to probably trade Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier at some point this year anyway. And I think Chicago takes a step back as well. Lonzo's hurt; they don't know when he's coming back. And listen, DeMar DeRozan might be trying his best to make me look bad, but I don't think he's going to play as good as last year. Last year, he looked like an MVP caliber player in the first half. I don't think that happens again.
Listen, Leo, I'm gonna spare the Knicks talk today because I've been being good and I haven't been going at the Knicks. And Eric, you know how I can get when I'm talking about the Knicks and going in on them, but I've been
Listen,
cool. I have,
your anger is more towards James Dolan than the Knicks. We know,
and that's the thing because they got RJ, and that's that's a Blue Devil, so I'm always gonna support
hey,
RJ. Obi's a New York guy. I want to support Obi as well. I just don't like the. I think it's time for them to move on from Julius Randle. I
right,
think he peaked. His peak was the All-Star game he played in. Was that
right,
2 years ago? Now that was his
yeah.
peak, and since then it's kind of been on a slow decline. So I think it's time to get those younger guys the minutes. Get Obi those minutes. Obi's when he's getting the minutes, Obi looks very good. So I think
Obi needs the minutes, and Cam Reddish needs the minutes, man. I need to see more Cam Reddish, bro. And no disrespect. I love D Rose, but we might have to sacrifice some of them D Rose minutes for Cam Reddish because Cam is balling off the bench. We've known for a few years what Emmanuel quickly can give you off the bench, but now you add a guy like Cam Reddish on a perimeter as well who can shoot the three, who can get to the basket. I
yes,
love the way Cam is playing so far. Get Cam more minutes.
yes. I thought it was a great pickup when they were able to get rid of Knox and get
Mm-hmm.
Cam Reddish. I said this was going to be a good pickup for the Knicks. Obviously they had a log jam, at the 2 and the 3 position, so it's kind of hard to get those minutes for Cam. And then he got hurt, but I think now he's starting to look good. So yeah, I love that. But I think you got to move on from Julius Randle. You may be able to get something a nice little return for Julius Randle. Um, maybe by the All-Star break, we'll see how things go. Um, I don't know if I guess he could be a ball hog. I see Ryan say he thinks Randall is a ball hog. It's just that he does need the ball in his hands to play well. And if he doesn't have it and you got to kick it out to I think he kind of having them little temper tantrums where when he doesn't, he's not the guy on the team.
Yeah.
So, I just think it's time to move on though.
I don't think he's a ball hog, Ryan, but I do think that his skill set is very difficult for what we're trying to accomplish with the Knicks because he's not a traditional four. He's not a guy who can just go in the low post and go to work. He needs to be face up to the basket with the ball and then create. But what I have seen from these 2 games that I really like is he has been more in playmaker mode as opposed to looking for a shot. And I think a lot of that has to do with Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson has brought a certain level of stability now that we didn't have in the past. I believe through the first 2 games, Jalen Brunson has 15 assists and no turnovers. So he's getting them into offensive sets. He gives them another shooter on the floor now so that Randle can trust another guy. And you don't have to run so much offense through Randle. That really became my problem 2 years ago. Even though he made the All-Star game, as you mentioned, Trip, he started thinking he was better than what he really was because it's like the ball's in my hand. I got a high usage rate. Now we kind of taking it out of his hand, let Jalen get to work. And then you come back to Randle and let him play, make, and create. But it's still a tough situation because it's a young team and you would like to see more ball movement. Unfortunately, Randle is our best player right now, though.
I definitely agree with that. And then let me go back to my Western Conference prediction as far as the finals go. It was a tough one for me, but I'm going to say if everyone stays healthy, I say it'll be Clippers versus the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. But Eric, give me a chance to get that back because I don't like picking against LeBron. So if the Lakers do make that trade and get rid of Russell Westbrook and bring in Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, I reserve the right to go back and change my pick and swap one of those teams out for the Lakers.
The Lakers ain't making it that far, bro. But
My contract says I have to say that though.
yeah, your contract says you have to say that. But Lakers, to me, the ceiling on the Lakers is sixth overall at best. That's their ceiling. It's just not enough talent there for them to compete with the better teams. Again, the Golden States, the Denvers, the Dallases, who I think are really good, Memphis. And that's probably my biggest prediction. Leo knows this. Leo and I spoke about this, and I told him before the season, my boldest prediction of the year, Ja Morant will win MVP this year. Ja Morant is on that level. It's a storyline that goes with winning the MVP. I expect Memphis to be a top 2 seed in the West, and I think Ja is going to be the MVP of this league.
He can do that, but he has to stay healthy. He can't miss 15 to 20 games this season and be MVP. He'll have the numbers to do it, but he has to stay on the court. That's the thing, because I think that's why we didn't see Joel Embiid being back-to-back MVP, because he missed those chunks of games. And when you have somebody who's putting up similar numbers, but they're on the court, pretty much the entire season, they're usually going to give the edge to that guy. So Ja just has to be careful. He just has to stay healthy. I know he's he's what we saw from early Derrick Rose in Chicago, where he's just jumping out the gym every week, doing it all. We saw Derrick Rose get to MVP, but we also saw the injuries kick Derrick Rose's butt after a while. So I just need to stay healthy. I think he does have as good a chance as any. I would probably say the MVP comes down to Ja Morant and Luka Doncic. I think those are two guys.
Luka the Don might be taking over the league right now.
Yeah, he might be the guy. Should imagine if Luka was a better defender than what he is now.
Listen, man, I'm not even gonna critique Luka's game, because I think Luka's phenomenal. I've always been a fan of his game, man. So if he's able to elevate Dallas to be a top 3 seed in the West, because that's a big part of it too. No matter what the stats look like, you got to be one of the best teams in your conference. So if he has Dallas in that position, that's why I really like Ja for the award, because I think Memphis is going to be a top 2 team. And then now the storyline becomes, they win 55, 60 games, Ja Morant, the best player on the team, and they go hand to hand. But Luke is phenomenal, and if he puts them in position to be a top 3 team, he could win it as well.
Absolutely. Really quick, because we
let's speed through, because everybody's waiting for the games. You know what I'm saying? And do we want to give our prediction on both New York football teams, or we want to save that for the end?
All right. Let me just run through really quick, and then we'll come back and we'll do that. So I'm just gonna run through really quick. MLB, obviously, Yankees struggling right now. I think that the back-to-back games is kind of catching up with them. They're down 0-3 in the ALCS. I'm hoping they can still hang on and make this thing a series. But it's going to be a long road to victory for the Yankees. Houston is up right now 3-0 in the series. In the NLCS, the Phillies are up right now 3-1. Bryce Harper got those guys looking really good right now. And I know they're looking to close this thing out very soon. A little bit of boxing news. I know everybody was looking forward to the Errol Spence Jr. Crawford fight. It's looking like it's not going to happen right now. Not going to say it won't happen at all, but right now it's going to be off because Crawford has decided to take on another opponent before that fight happens, if they can actually lock that fight in. So that's not going to happen. And then we got the end of the month. Everybody's favorite Jake Paul is stepping back into the ring with Anderson Silva. Not the pro boxer that we were hoping he would man up and take on. But, Anderson Silva, I love Anderson Silva. He's one of the best MMA guys to do it. And finally in boxing, the GOAT, the greatest female boxer of all time, Clarissa Shields. She's undisputed again. She won, but the numbers came in, and her and Marshall actually broke the record with 2 million views, which is the highest for a female-led boxing card in the history of the sport of boxing. So big shout out to Clarissa Shields on that. Nothing but new heights for the GOAT. She is continuing to do some amazing things. Eric, now that we're gonna get ready to wrap up, but you can drop those picks right now.
Well, hold on. I want to say a couple things real quick on the things we talked about, because we didn't get too much into baseball today. The Phillies are gonna probably finish it off today. The Yankees, unfortunately, I've been saying it for a while. Aaron Boone should go. He's not the right manager for this team. Down 3-0. It's not that they're losing to Houston. It's the way they're losing to Houston. They only have, I believe, 11 hits, 12 hits through the 3 games. They've only scored 4 runs. Team is so boom or bust. Aaron Boone, I think, needs to go, and then they need to kind of reconfigure this roster. But obviously, the most important thing is they got to take care of Aaron Judge this offseason and bring him back. Crawford Spence, I'm so disappointed in this. Listen, I love Terrence Crawford, but I don't want to hear anything from Terrence Crawford until he fights a credible champion, because all the lead up to this fight was made us believe that Spence wanted no part of this. Meanwhile, Crawford, I think, negotiated in bad faith. He already had another fight lined up. First, he made excuses about the original contract when they were trying to fight in November, where he said, oh, they're not sharing the books and the numbers with me, and I don't know what I'm supposed to get on the back end. Then when they gave him that, they started to negotiate again to try to make it happen in January. He didn't like the terms of the deal and immediately announced his next opponent, which to me leads me to believe you already had that other fight lined up. Errol Spence even said himself, I wanted to fight in November and you made me wait, and now I can't fight in November. So for me, this is all on Terrence Crawford. And then not only is he not fighting Spence, he's not even fighting on a major network. It's a network I've never heard of called Black Prime, where they're charging $20 to watch a fight. They've never hosted a fight before. So I don't know who is advising Terrence Crawford, but it's bad. It's bad advice that you're getting, Terrence, at this point. You could have fought on ESPN. You could have fought on any other network. You're fighting on a low-budget network that no one's ever fought of against a fighter that no one's ever heard of. So I don't want to hear anything more from Terrence Crawford in terms of that, man. And then Jake Paul, I'm going to watch it, but you're right. He still hasn't fought a boxer. It's not entirely his fault, though, because we know the drama that took place with Hakeem Rahman Jr. But ultimately, I am still going to tune in, man.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so those picks, who are you taking in the New York games?
So you and I, every now and then we may indulge ourselves with some bets, right? Because it's legal in New York. Today might be the Bing Bong Parlay day, because I think we get the Giants and Jets both winning. I think it's disrespectful that the Giants are getting 3 points to the Jaguars. The one thing I will say about the Jaguars, though, they are great against the run. They're 3rd overall against the run, and that is the Giants' strength. So watch out. If the Giants fall behind early in this game, then it could be trouble, because I don't think either one of us really trusts Daniel Jones to throw the ball. But what the Giants have shown me week in, week out is they're not going to lay an egg. They're going to play tough, and Brian Daboll is going to have his guys prepared. So I do like the Giants to win. I definitely like the Jets. I liked them even before I knew Russell Wilson wasn't going to play. But now that he's out and you're giving me Mark Rippon, I definitely like the Jets in that defense. Yeah. And I think the Yankees hold on today. Nestor Cortez got to pitch the game of his life, because Aaron Boone ain't going to trust anybody in that bullpen. But I think the Yankees, just from a pride aspect, they do not want it to end this way. I think they at least win today and give themselves a game 5.
Yeah, the good thing about it is, it really is just one game at a time. It's not impossible. It's going to be hard, but it's not impossible. But I do take New York for the clean sweep today. I picked the Jets and the Giants earlier in the week to win. But yeah, the Yankees ain't going down without a fight tonight. I think Cortez, who I feel like honestly was our best pitcher this season, I think he gets the job done tonight. And then where it goes from there, we got to wait and see. But I'm still pulling for the Yankees to come back and win this thing.
Yeah, like I said, I think they hold it off at least for one more day. Then it gets really tricky at that point, because I just don't know if Aaron Boone has any pitchers that he can really trust at this point. But that offense got to get going too. They had 5 hits in game 1. They had 4 hits in game 2. They had 3 hits yesterday in game 3. Like, you got to get guys on base. You got to get somebody on base. It just can't always be about the home run. Got to get some guys on base. Got to put together smaller innings and then lead to the bigger inning. I'm hoping they put up a little bit of a fight today. Don't go out like this. Houston's already eliminated them 3 times in the last 5 years. Don't make it 4 out of the last 6 years as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 1,000% on that one. All right, guys, listen, man, we are going to get ready to get up out of here. Make sure you guys are following us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter at Real Fan Talk, Facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk. And of course, check out that website, realfansrealtalk.com. Everything you need, man, we got it for you. We ain't going nowhere, and I'm glad we back going live. We're gonna be getting a little bit more consistent going live with the show. We got some updates coming to you guys, a couple of surprises that we're gonna have over the next couple of weeks as well. So stay tuned in. Big shout out to everybody that was in the comments today and that joined us on the live. Eric, you want to give us a final thought?
Of course, man. Like I said, first and foremost, want to thank everyone who tuned into the live, all the comments. We appreciate you guys. It's Sunday afternoon. Everybody's waiting to get football going. So you can be anywhere in the world. You're here rocking with us, man. We appreciate that. Again, we're going to be giving you guys more of the lives every week, breaking down games, giving you that sports talk that you're not going to find anywhere else. Make sure you subscribe also to the Sanchez Show and follow me across all social media platforms. It's Legend in Two Games completely spelled out. But the final thought I want to give, it is the start of the NBA season. Obviously, the Warriors are the defending champs. Kudos to Steph Curry. During his announcement to the crowd and his message to the crowd, he sent birthday wishes to Brittany Griner, who's still over in Russia. We're still waiting for Brittany to get home. So obviously, our thoughts and prayers are always with Brittany Griner. And at some point, the government got to step up, do the right thing, man. Bring that woman home.
Facts. Really quick, before we get out of here, I have to wish a speedy recovery to Holy Trinity wide receiver Josiah Brown. He's ranked like number 7 in the state. He took a bad hit this past Saturday on a dirty play that the refs didn't even call. Took a helmet to helmet hit and wound up having to be carted off the field. He's doing all right. He does have a pretty bad concussion though, so I think this is probably going to end into season with Holy Trinity going into the playoffs. But I definitely want to wish that young man a speedy recovery. And just so you guys can know the level of his talent right now, he's got offers from Virginia Tech, from Wisconsin, and a couple of other top colleges in this country. So big shout out to Josiah Brown. You played an amazing season this year. And I'm wishing you a speedy recovery, my brother.
Yes, sir. Get well soon, man.
With that being said, for myself, Trip Young, and my brother, my co-host, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games, we up out of here. Peace.